Welcome back to the Weekend Warriors show. I actually have a few interviews this week. Hopefully, you already watched the Ben Wheatley interview for his movie Normal. But my second interview of the week is for a movie called Mad Bills to Pay, in parentheses, or Destiny, Dile que no soy malo, which means Destiny, tell him I'm not bad, which will make more sense when you see the movie. Mad Bills to Pay is from Joel Alfonso Vargas, an amazing young filmmaker. Basically, his film premiered at Sundance in 2025, and it won a special jury award for its ensemble cast. Very rightfully so, because it's a very small cast, but they're really amazing. The movie follows a guy named Rico, played by Juan Colado, who is a Bronx native who basically a bit of a hustler. He goes to the beach and sells things called nutties, which are basically like fruit drinks with alcohol in them. He's gotten his 15-year-old girlfriend Destiny pregnant, and she ends up moving in with his family, which includes his single mother, played by Johanna Florentino, and his younger sister Sally, played by Natalie Navarro. It's a family drama, but it has humor and heart, and it's just a wonderful story. It tells us the story of these Dominicans in the Bronx might not experience if you don't actually live there, and I've really felt that. I think it's a really good movie. Mad Bills to Pay. I spoke to Joel last week and enjoy the interview. And if you get a chance to see the movie, it's playing at the Film Forum starting on Friday, April 17th. And then presumably Oscilloscope will expand to other cities. In the meantime, enjoy this interview, and I'll have more interviews down the road.
Nutties, nutties, let me have Pikachu. Nutties, nutties.
Party people, count your rock with me one time.
We met at the beach.
One time.
You gotta get a cheese pizza, extra cheese, beef patty and cheese, extra cheese with the pepperoni.
Who is she?
I'm about to be a father!
Qué vida vives tú, eh? Preña una muchacha, la traes a vivir aquí.
We're gonna have our own spot, I promise you.
Okay, how are we gonna get our own spot?
Boy, I gotta make some money.
What's up? Where you from?
Me, I'm from out here by Pelham Bay, you know. Who went to yellow? Stop stressing.
Joel, it's great to meet you. I've heard about this movie for a while. I didn't see it out of Sundance, although I'm sure it was on the virtual platform last year. I'm sure, but I missed it, I guess. I have a friend named Scott Dupre who has been praising it since last year. He was like, "Oh, make sure you don't miss this." And then I saw it was playing at the film forum. I was like, "Oh, well, there you go, perfect. I'll go see a press screening and hopefully, talk to Joel about it." And yeah, really love this movie. I don't go to the Bronx very often. I don't go to the beach very often. Very outside my normal life. I'm in the Lower East Side. It's like, but it's also that's why I loved it, because it's like it shows me a different world than I normally would get to see. So I guess I know that there was a short with the same cast. I'm not sure if the short got expanded to the feature or if it was a separate thing that you made that led into it, or what? Maybe talk about that a little, the origins of like that.
Yeah. So it's not like your typical path, which usually entails you make a short film, you wait a few years, use the short as a calling card, fundraise, and then make your feature.
Yeah,
that's not what we did. We shot the feature first, and then cut a short film from that feature, and that was partly to do with us like graduating film school and needing to submit something as our kind of like graduation, kind of just to fulfill a requirement basically, and they wouldn't accept the feature, so we had to submit the short film.
Oh yeah, but how many years ago was that?
That was we shot the film in 2023, and the short came out end of 2023, started 24, I believe, and then a year later, 2025, we had the feature. Having that short, for as annoying as it was, because it just meant that we had to cut into our post time in for the feature. It was actually a good thing, because that short eventually, I think in August 24, went to the Locarno Film Festival, and it won an award there. That became kind of a way to awareness build for that feature, because when people would ask us like, "Oh, what's your next thing? Are you thinking of a feature?" It's like, yeah, actually, there's a feature that we're in post right now that's literally based on the short. So it just made it kind of just created a lot of momentum behind the feature before even coming out, which I think helped us in ways to get to Sundance in a sense. because just a lot of things a lot of stars started to align from that moment.
What part of the feature was the short? Was it like a specific section of the film?
It's the short is basically like the first act and change, you know. It's a half an hour short. The feature is, I think, 101 minutes. So yes, it's basically like a third of the feature. First act, I would say. It's different. Like it has a different ending, and you know, it was a little bit constructed because you know we had to basically like find an end in the material that we had for the short. So the ending is different. It kind of it you know, but not that dissimilar to the feature because we also ended on a ambiguous note. You know, it leaves you wanting more, kind of like the feature. You know.
Well, it's interesting because the subtitle of the feature, I was really I finally said, oh, I might as well translate it, see what it means, and it actually is sort of a kind of thing that kind of like tells you where it's going to go, sort of.
Yeah. You know, I think you know I always imagine that subtitle in the voice of Rico, and you know something that he's written in the future. Obviously, maybe talking to Destiny or trying to talk to his son or daughter. And you know, it basically translates to Destiny. Tell them I'm not a bad guy. And who knows where he's sending that letter from? Like if he's sending that, you know, because he's moved to a different state, or you know, he couldn't quite figure it out. You know, maybe he's in jail, maybe like something. You know, but that's the idea. You know, like he's reflecting on his life, and something he wants to communicate.
Was this a story you've been wanting to tell for a long time? Is this some of this from like stuff from your own childhood or something you knew about this
Yeah.
world or?
I mean, you know, I myself, I'm not a teen dad. I grew up in the Bronx. I grew up in the projects in the Bronx. You know, my family still live here today. And, I, you know, despite not growing, like being a teen dad, and you know, I was the youngest in my family, so like, you know, I saw a lot of guys, including family members, you know, my brothers, kind of, you know, be that guy, be that Rico type of person, you know, that kind of self-sabotaged. And I like to describe this kind of archetype as like a tornado person, you know. So I grew up, you know, and I just knew for myself that I didn't want to walk down that path, you know, because I often saw where that led to, you know, yeah, some were team, you know, and some people did figure it out and would get their act together, and you know, rise to the challenge of you know whatever they were being faced with. But I also saw it play out differently, where some young men, you know, and this became you know more apparent when I left the neighborhood to go to college, for example. You know, it was kind of ironic at one point because I was like, you know, graduating college, I had a very close friend that I grew up with who was like on his way to prison, you know. So it's like, you know, that just that kind of disparity, that contrast was a bit stayed with me. But anyway, I like the sort of character of Rico, and this whole like premise kind of scenario came about or came to me during like the COVID pandemic. When I was like really just thinking about my childhood and thinking about these sort of guys I grew up around. In addition, like my mom, she was a teen mom, and I made this film when I'm in my mid 30s now. I was like in my early 30s, and I guess I myself was like thinking about fatherhood and what that means, and I, you know, I think as all those things kind of converged into I can't pinpoint it to one single thing, but it was a lot of things going on at once. And I got it.
So you found this cast, this amazing award-winning cast, I should say. They won an ensemble award at Sundance. I mean, so you found them about 4 or 5 years ago. How do you go about how do you go about finding them? I mean, I don't know how many of them had a ton of experience acting, or they were kind of like done shorts and stuff like that.
No, it was multifaceted. So like a lot of the supporting cast, you know, not including the family, but like you know the people like Speedy and Tati, sort of the couple that Rico meets on the beach. You know, who they come back at the end of the film to kind of give him advice. They you know they're completely non-actors. We met on the day basically. You know, the girl that he flirts with on the beach met on the day. the manager at Johnny's Reef was Johnny's. This Johnny's Reef is the restaurant where Rico works. The manager was actually like Johnny's son. So that we also met kind of on the day, like the people who worked the restaurant, people we met. So it was a lot of that. So that's kind of like our non-actor pool, you could say. Destiny was also kind of a non-actor, someone that we kind of found by way of TikTok. I mean, now after this film, we can't use that label for her anymore. Like she's an actor. She's been and she kicks ass. I think she's awesome. Um, uh, but the other actors, Rico Juan Collado, who plays Rico, like he comes from more classically trained background. I think he studied acting in LaGuardia, and he has a bit of experience like with improv and things like this. He's done community theater and background work in films and things. So he was great. He brought a lot. He brought a lot to the project, as did Joanna Florentino, who was the first. Joanna Florentino plays the mom. She was the first person we cast, and like it became like everyone kind of stemmed, like all the other people we cast sort of grew out of that choice, because she was someone that was in my orbit that I worked with before, but never like to this capacity. But I knew that I wanted to work with her, and she was great. She's Dominican, and she could kind of do the bilingual kind of stuff very, very well. So we were looking for actors that not only like met her skill level, but like also, which is like the added criteria and challenge, resembled her and looked like her. So like that's how we found Natalie, who kind of really does. Natalie plays the sister, like she really does it like her daughter. Natalie, by the way, she has drama background and commercials background and things.
Was Rico based on one of your brothers or on anyone else from your circles growing up, or?
Yeah. So Rico, I have a paternal brother, who I was very close with, like for like the first, maybe like 10 years of my life. Like he ended up going to prison. From that moment, our relationship was a little bit fractured, but he was a teen dad, and he like he there's so much that I was like consciously thinking about it, but in hindsight I'm like, yeah, that guy is my brother, and he's a lot of guys that I knew coming, when I was coming of age, and he's based on kind of I have another maternal brother who's semi based on my maternal brother too, who's 10 years older than me, and some of his friends as well. So it was a common story, not necessarily like the teen dad thing. We had a few teen dads kind of that we grew up around, but just this kind of this type of guy, if you understand what I mean, was commonplace, at least when we were growing up.
I'm sure you get asked this a lot because not a lot of people are going to be familiar with this, but nutties. Nutties is a real thing. That's something, alcohol and the Kool-Aid. I'm not sure what it is. That's something that's really people are on the beach selling.
Yeah. I think, if like if you're a New Yorker, like,
maybe it might be very specific to that area. I don't know. I mean, I don't go to the beach, so I don't know. Maybe it's the same.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a beach going New Yorker, maybe it more, but you go to even in Brooklyn, like Coney Island, the Rockaway, like, you have people selling cocktails or, nutcrackers and things out of coolers. I think the New York Times covered a guy once who was selling nutcrackers on Coney Island, and yeah, so it's something that I personally like interacted with as a teenager. I used to buy nutcrackers, with friends and things when we kind of go out to beaches and so on. And I'm from a very like Dominican part of the Bronx and northern Manhattan, like Inwood and kind of Kingsbridge, Marble Hill, where I kind of grew up. Like that is kind of like they call this now like Little Dominican Republic, but like this beverage, these cocktails were a staple to kind of just like summertime here. And, you not only could you get them at beaches, you get them at barbershops. You can still get them at barbershops today. It's just kind of like what people do when they hang out. That's just part of the just a detail of life here, I guess.
It continued made this as almost a student film. Was it? Can you just go and shoot on the beach? Were you able to shoot a lot more without having to get the permits normally, or I mean, I especially in the Bronx, I don't know how much they even.
Yeah. You know, we were covered most of the way because of, you know, liability reasons. Like we needed to get the insurance, we needed, you know, to rent equipment and so on. Like, you know, and of course, like if anyone got hurt, you know, it was, you know, we needed to have our, you know, our paperwork in order. But, you know, there were some cases where, you know, we had to kind of like, you know, use our, I guess, like common sense and, you know, where there was some resistance and things. And, you know, we always got some form of permission, you know, in the subway station, for example, like we, you know, we would ask I guess the people kind of working the booth or whatever it was, like if it was fine, or or, you know, sometimes it would be the case of like, you know, ask for forgiveness and not permission. You know, sometimes we would get approached and then we would kindly ask, and, you know, most of the time people would just like leave us be and not, you know, not kick us out. So it was that, you know, it was a combination of things.
Right. Listen, it's a really, really special film. I really enjoyed it, and I'm sure you know who Sean Baker is, but I feel like Sean Baker kind of started in this world, like an actor.
Yeah.
Like, and you got to be where he went. So I guess it's great. Great to start. Can't see what you do next. Can't wait to see what you do next, because this is really just great. You know,
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
So.
Yeah.
And so playing film for him, which is amazing. That's great. This is a great, you know, first feature film for him. I mean, I don't know how many others can say that's happened. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like, honestly, got to pinch myself. Like it's so cool, you know. You know, but we're still broke out here. We still got mad bills to pay, you know. And it's
oh yeah, I know that one. When I saw the title, I was pretty sure it was a biopic about me, but whatever.
yeah. I mean, I think it's a biopic about a lot of people in the city.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Joel, nice to meet you. Thanks a lot. Hope to see you again someday soon. Take care.
Cool. Yeah, thank you.
You trying to get that money, babe.
El taquillao, ella taquilla, también el taquillao.
360, you gotta hold it high, and I'ma yell out immediately.
It's too hot.
I ain't never had my father, so I ain't gonna have my kid go through that. Like, hell no.
Wait, no, we got this.
Ay, Dios mío, Ricardo.
Susurrame.
Just too much at times, man. I got a like anger problem.
It ain't about you no more. You need to know when to man down. That means keep the job.
Gotta make the bus that gets you on time, you know, there's not much I could
job,
do.
Man.
Tanto muchacho así como tú, tigre.
Against the wall. I told you I don't got an ID, bro.
¿Tú qué te miras como tu papá, eh? ¿Eh?
My kid gonna do stuff.
It's not just about you anymore, Rico. It's not just about you anymore. What's your plan? I just hope we're not making a mistake.